Part 2. According to Wikipedia under Little Ice Age. Quote, the Little Ice Age was a period of cooling that occurred after the medieval warm period. Yep. Although it was not a true ice age, the term was introduced into scientific literature by Francisco E. Mathis in 1939. It has been conventionally defined as a period extending from the 16th to the 19th centuries, but some experts prefer an alternative time span from about 1300 to about 1850. Stop. Bingo. I have so much to show you that makes absolutely no sense during these time frames in American and abroad history. Wow. And now that you have the perception history hiding is possible through earth flipping, things will start to jump right out at you. Let's begin. Let's continue for more clues. Quote, listen up. The NASA Earth Observatory notes 3 particularly cold intervals. One beginning in 1650, another about 1770, and the last in 1850. All separated by intervals of slight warming. Bingo. Listen closely for targeted areas. Quote, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Third Assessment Report considered the timing and areas affected by the Little Ice Age suggested largely independent regional climate changes rather than a globally synchronous increased glaciification. Stop. Bingo. The closer we get to modern times in our history series, and the more wars, the more clones we will see. As we can clearly see here, each Little Ice Age was in the midst of massive American wars. Everyone from the Indians to the British to the Spanish was engulfed in all-out war. Bottom line, just as we have discovered before, people, war, disaster, and disease are strategic instruments to placing their new and fresh clones throughout the globe. Also notice how they are targeting specific areas, just like the D-word process we just discovered, but just in reverse. Mind you now, if they tell us Little Ice Ages happened in small parts of Europe and America at the same time as well, it will give us credence to scripture and my upcoming theory that the modern white man are clones of the ancient Greeks. But let's continue for more clues to see. Under geophysical and social impact by region. Under Europe. Quote, the Little Ice Age brought colder winters to parts of Europe and North America. Bingo. Farms and villages in the Swiss Alps were destroyed by encroaching glaciers. What? During the mid-17th century? Am I reading this right? Farms and villages in the Swiss Alps were destroyed by encroaching glaciers during the mid-17th century. Damn. Canals and rivers in Great Britain and the Netherlands were frequently frozen deeply enough to support ice skating and winter festivals. Iceland also suffered failure of cereal crops and people moved away from a grain-based diet. Norse colonies in Greenland starved and vanished by the early 15th century. Nah, they ain't vanished. As crops failed and livestock could not be maintained through increasingly harsh winters. Greenland was largely cut off by ice from 1410 to the 1720s. Stop. Wow. I didn't know any of this. This was recent. So, when America was founded, Great Britain and North America was going through a little ice age that was on the heels / overlapping a huge D word in the most populous slave-happy Middle East, huh? Interesting indeed. Now check out how everyone knew exactly what was causing the earth flips. Under cultural responses, quote, early European explorers and settlers of North America reported exceptionally severe winters. For example, according to Lamb, Samuel Chaplin reported bearing ice along the shores of Lake Superior in June 1608. Both Europeans and indigenous peoples suffered excess mortality in Maine during the winter of 1607 through 1608. And extreme frost was reported in Jamestown, Virginia, settlements at the same time. These people were new and fresh, man. They were new and fresh. They did not know how to, they didn't know the right hand from the left hand, people. That's in hell how you gonna freeze to death. Hey, all y'all gonna freeze to death. You ain't that doggone cold. You ain't gonna freeze to death. Freeze to death at that rate. And you supposed to come from the Great Britain, the Great Empire, or the Great Netherlands, where it's cold as hell any damn way. Come on, man. Now these people didn't know their left hand from their right hand, so yeah, they froze to death. But let's keep continuing. In the winter of 1780, New York Harbor froze, allowing people to walk from Manhattan Island to Staten Island. The extent of mountain glaciers had been mapped by the late 19th century. Man, under Mesoamerica. Wow, this is honestly this is kind of blowing my mind that this was just right around the corner in our quote unquote American history, and nobody ever said anything about it. It was to hide. They don't want us to know about this. Mesoamerica, quote, an analysis of several proxies undertaken in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, linked by its author to Maya and Aztec chronicles relating periods of cold and drought, supports the existence of little ice ages in the region. Yep. And we already know about who they are. We know how they got here, how they brand new. Come on, man. All right, let's go to Asia. Quote, in China, warm weather crops such as oranges were abandoned in something province, where they had been grown for centuries. Scholars have argued that the fall of the Ming Dynasty, say this again. Scholars have argued that the fall of the Ming Dynasty may have been partially caused by the droughts and famines caused by the Little Ice Age. Example, bingo. As we will discover a little later, it was at the tail end of the Ming Dynasty that China's population started going through the roof. In fact, the very next dynasty, the Qing, Qing to be exact, doubled in population. Check it out. According to Columbia University, under Issues and Trends in China's Demographic History, subtitle, China's Population Growth Throughout History. I'm going to cut to the chase. Quote, in the early years of the Ming Dynasty, in the late 14th century, China's population began dramatic change that continued to the present. Rapid increases occurred especially between 1749 and 1811 during the Qing Dynasty, when the country's population doubled from 177 million to 358 million. Example. Again, just like it's impossible to naturally double your population in the midst of wars, the same thing applies in the midst of droughts and famines as well. Hence, why it makes no sense how the most war-torn and famine-infested nations always have more children than adults in them. Mystifies me. So, as you can plainly and clearly see here, each and every region we are suspecting a clone population explosion has experienced either the D word at the same time or extreme cold at the same time, which can only mean through mathematics they are flipping the earth to induct their clones, and the consequences is extreme climate change. Now, to prove this isn't the first time this has happened recently, check out this hidden information. According to Wikipedia, under last glacial period, I'm going to cut to the chase. Quote, the lake, and it's Ancylus, lake, was filled by glacial runoff, but as worldwide sea levels continued rising, salt water again breached the still about 8,000 BP, forming a marine something sea, which was followed by another freshwater phase before the present brackish marine system was established. Listen closely, listen closely. All that just to say this. Personal quote. At its present state of development, the marine life of the Baltic Sea is less than 4,000 years old. I'm going to read that again. At its present state of development, the marine life of the Baltic Sea is less than 4,000 years old. Dr. Thuslin and something else remarked when reviewing these sequences in 2003. Example, bingo. This corresponds directly with our Bronze Age bingos and its subsequent collapse. So as you can see, the Earth has experienced drastic heat and cold flipping recently. That brings me back to the China and the meat of my theory. I went through all of that just to go back to this. Seeing that there's nothing new under the sun. Now we know about the devices being used to culminate into one in-game device. Articles like this should start to make sense to the chosen now. According to everybody under, China's built an artificial sun in bid to turn around climate change. In the article, it tells us crap like, quote, although this is not a sun as we've come to know it, the invention is actually a nuclear fission reactor, and China is locked in a race with the rest of the world to build the first operational version that will replicate the functions of the sun. Example. Well, I guess the obvious question should be, what in the Hades are they planning on doing to the original sun, where each and every nation is making haste to create their own artificial one? Why replicate the functions we have in the sun that they say that's doing all too well? Well, hell, they say it's doing too good of a job. So why replicate the functions if we already got one? It's because they know they're about to flip these switches again, ladies and gentlemen. They know they're about to flip these switches. But this time, it's for all the marbles. And China, say it again, but this time, it's for all the marbles. And China, knowing it will need its slave Africans, are trying and using preventive measures beforehand to not only save themselves, but their future Bantu slaves as well. I mean, why else would they spend all that money and show the least bit interest in a bunch of Africans? I mean, really. And to prove there is some merit behind this theory, the scientists in the 1970s were all pushing the next ice age was imminent. Yeah, sure, the same scientists are pushing global warming today, but that just tells us their instruments are correct when you factor in the evildoers' flip-flop technology. It's all there, people. I know that was kind of convoluted all over the place, but go back and listen to it again. If you have any problems, let me know. I'll straighten them out. Bottom line, these cats are about to flip this thing, and they already know the unintended consequences of flipping history to hide their clones, and that's On one end, desertification, and on the other end, little ice ages. Uh, and now that they've done this many times before, and they got the capabilities, they're trying to do preventive maintenance, preventive measures ahead of time to get in front of the now known unintended consequences of their flipping. So that's what they're doing. All of that was just to say that. I hope it came out right. If it didn't, sorry. But that's what I wanted to say. As you know, this is the heathen season. It's got me going. So I'll be uploading old history series in the midst of the new ones to try to paint a more exact picture all at one time. Now, this hit me off the cuff. Hit me just as I started to do this video. I think I understand what they're about to do. There is one video that YouTube refuses to allow me to have up. In fact, the last channel, Baptizer Scribe, was shut down because of this video. I felt it when I got Tetragrammaton Lion. I waited a couple of videos and I put it back up. They snagged it again, took it off. And that just basically told me, no, I wasn't even supposed to say nothing. In fact, I said something about it in another video, and they snagged that one too. So I think I know what they don't want us to know. And if you can recall, it was the video that I told you I wrote it in a book. And I went back just to check my sources, because I wanted to do a video on it. And I went to the official website, and it was gone. But there was many other people who obviously seen the article itself on the website, and they did websites on where in the hell did the article go, because it was so that much impact. So I got the article. I wrote it in a book. I'm looking for a way that I could do a video and somehow give you guys a code that you can just go and look for it. And you guys can just go on and watch it off of YouTube. Is that what Dropbox is for? I don't know. I'm not tech savvy whatsoever. What type of program do I need for that? Does it cost a lot of money? If it doesn't cost a lot of money, I'll buy one. But yeah, I just want to do a video, put it out there, and then give specific people codes or what have you, and they know exactly, put the code in and they can go look at the video. I'm not here to talk to everybody. I think I just figured out, this morning has been very insightful. I just figured out Malongo. Malongo is not a specific person. He's a cornucopia of people. Malongo is just a code name for a boiler room operation. We're being, information is being taken upon us. I realized this a while back. Every time he came back, it was as though it was a totally different person. I even had to say, this is not Malongo. Who in the hell is this? Done took over Malongo. Is this is the last time? Is this his son? Because he had reverted back to other things, and he used information that I had said, hell, 2.5 years and beforehand, and it was just off the cuff in a sarcastic video. Obviously they didn't, in notes he didn't put the sarcasm in it, and he brought it back up as though I actually meant that particular thing. So that right there put me to thinking about this cat. And I bait him every once in a while. I bait him, and he shows his ass up, and he says the things that I need to say. He said something to this sister, and again showing that he takes notes on us. It's not a him. This agency is taking notes on us. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but the evidence don't fucking lie. Oops, the evidence don't lie. It just don't lie. So I'm gonna let it go at that. Thank you for looking at this video. If you guys can come up with a suggestion for me, then I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't want everybody to hear what I've got to say. It ain't for everybody. It really, really isn't. So, thank you for looking at this video. My God's will. Look for the next.